Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the work session for June the 22nd, 2021, and we're calling the meeting to order. And the first order of business is I'm going to call the roll. We're still doing that, aren't we? Good, okay. Alderman Barnhill.
Present.
Alderman Martin.
Present.
Alderman Schroer.
Here.
Alderman Speedy.
Here.
Alderman Glendon's on his way, and Alderman Blanton.
Here.
Alderman Peterson.
Here.
And Vice Mayor Berger.
Here.
Thank you. And next is an opportunity for citizens to make comments for items that are not on the agenda. I have no speaker cards in front of me, but the tradition is if you want to speak at our meetings that you fill out a speaker card so that we can understand your address and who you are and so on. So we'll keep moving along. So we're going to go to item 1, which is special event permit for Eat the Street Food Truck Festival at Bicentennial Park. I think that's the 21st District Drug Court. Does anybody have any questions about that?
This is like the 7th or 8th year for this event, and like everybody else, are excited to be back after the pandemic, so.
Great. Thanks, Monique. Next is, hey, Monique, come back just a second.
Do what?
It's been a long time since people at home have seen you, so this- it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, great report. Next is liquor license. Next is liquor license for HVD Ventures LLC, doing business as the Corner Wine and Spirits. Ramesh Javan Sarati, managing agent. That's on Hillsborough Road. Any questions about that one? Seeing none, we'll continue to move along. And we'll go to a report on the procurement of emergency repair work to the Robinson Lake Dam.
So as you know, in August of 2019, the board approved the capital funding plan, the capital investment plan.
Can you hear okay, Margaret? Yeah. Okay, good.
Sorry. As part of that plan, the Robinson Lake Dam Rehabilitation Project was included in that list of capital projects. Recently, we discovered a small breach in the dam where water is, I guess, going underneath the embankment portion of the dam. And so due to safety, we had our consultants come out and do an inspection of it. Their recommendation was to immediately draw down the lake due to safety. And we have been coordinating with our state permitting agencies, TDEC and TWRA, as we proceed with this, and then to do a controlled breach of that dam and essentially lower the lake level down to nothing, and it will revert back to a stream. We have proceeded with an emergency procurement. We've engaged a local contractor, Civil Constructors, who's historically done a lot of Franklin work, done a really good job for us. And our plan is to use 2 6-inch siphons, drain the lake down. It should drain down about a foot per day, weather depending. And we're going to do a controlled breach. The good news about it is the controlled breach is going to be done in a manner in which it's going to remain long-term. So it's really part of the bigger capital project. In an ideal world, we'd be able to move forward with the project, but we're still probably 6 to 8 months away from being able to bid that project. As part of this project, we've also been working with the permitting agencies to save as many of the fish as possible. So that's going to be a key component of it too. We're going to work with our own internal staff to save as many of the fish as possible. Some can be transferred to the Harpeth River. Some can be transferred to the various lakes around Franklin. And we're working with TWRA. They actually they didn't recommend that we even do that, but we're taking that step, just additional work to try to save as many as we possibly can. We suspect it'll take about a month to go through the whole project. There are definitely some unknowns. There's an unknown outlet pipe that we're going to have to figure out during construction. And we hope to start this next Monday, weather depending. Have a pre-construction meeting with our contractor out there to start the work to draw that lake down. And just as a reminder, the overall project is for us to go in there, rehabilitate the dam to bring it into compliance with the Safe Dams Act. And then we're looking to build a multi-purpose trail around the entire lake in a small parking lot. We're still working on the final design and the funding aspect of it and what's in line with our budget, but we are moving that project as quickly as we can, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Alderman Blanton, then I'll have Alderman Martin after
So
that.
I'm confused. You said 6 to 8 months, and then you said Monday. Can you explain?
Sorry, 6 to 8 months for the overall, the bigger, larger capital
Okay.
project, the one that we had planned for.
And you also,
Monday is for the emergency repair that we're proceeding with.
and you said reduce it to a stream. You just mean to make the fix.
Yes, just, well, we're gonna basically draw the lake down to its bottom.
But then the project is to make it complete again.
Yes, ma'am. After the
And-
bigger capital project, we will rehabilitate the dam and fill the lake back up. It's about a 10-acre lake. It'll be a beautiful park when it's all done.
And we will restock it at that time?
Yes, we're gonna work with TWRA to restock
We're
the
bringing the
pond.
fish back.
We're gonna put tags on them like
We're gonna put a
cows?
little tag,
Okay.
and little kind of GPS things, and we'll
Yeah.
bring those back.
Thanks, John.
Alderman Martin.
We're gonna keep them at Glenn's house.
Where the water go is you lower the lake.
We're gonna use a siphon and lower it into the Harpeth River where it drains naturally today.
Is that where it's draining now?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
where it's going?
Yes, ma'am. It all drains into the Harpeth River today.
Well, what's the matter with it? You said you started saying it is,
There's been a breach in the embankment of the dam, and it's flowing subsurface, and it's washing away parts of the embankment. And so there's safety concerns associated with that we need to,
okay, but that water right now is going into the river?
yes, ma'am, it's going into the river today. It always has.
Other comments or questions? So do we expect some fish kill, just FYI?
Yes, there's always gonna be some fish kill when you do this type of operation, but we're gonna do our best to work with our Parks Department to relocate as many as we feasibly can.
Any other questions or comments? We'll keep rolling along. We'll go to item 4, which is contract 2020-0108 between the City of Franklin and Community Housing Partnership Association for the receipt of $50,000 in community development block grant funds as reimbursement for costs associated with construction of single-family homes that benefit low to moderate income residents. Kathleen?
This is the other half of the $100,000 of the CDBG grant from last year, and it will be for an affordable house on the Natchez Cranberry lot.
Any questions?
Will,
Alderman
will
Martin?
any of this go into the building of the homes on Ropus Knob?
At this time,
No.
they have not, no. This $50,000 is strictly for the Natchez Cranberry.
For what?
The Natchez Cranberry house?
Go ahead, Alderman Barnhill.
I must have missed, what homes are on Roper's Knob?
Not on Ropus Knob,
I,
on the side, behind,
Proposed development.
the
Community
proposed
housing
development, Hillhaven, I believe.
Yeah, Hillhaven.
Go ahead, Mr. Girth.
Thank you. Good questions, Alderman Martin and Barnhill. That's the Hillhaven development that Community Housing Partnership is
Yeah.
looking to develop. And there's a water service issue with Mallory Valley and the city of our service area that we're trying to facilitate the most cost-effective solution that would allow them to eventually proceed. But we're working with Mallory Valley and just starting those conversations now. So that, they, because they are looking to build, excuse me, homes for people, for families that are within the low income levels, that they would be eligible to apply for CDBG funds to help with infrastructure.
Okay.
But that is still, we're not at that point yet.
Other comments or questions?
Thank
Everybody clear? We'll keep moving along. Item 5, consideration of draft resolution 2021-108, resolution authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of not to exceed $22 million in aggregate principal amount of water and sewer revenue bonds of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, for the purpose of funding in part the expansion and upgrade of the city's wastewater treatment plant. Christine?
Good evening. Michael's been kind enough to place for me a summary of the funding sources for the wastewater treatment plant project. And we have Michelle Hatcher with us also, who is an expert on the project itself. But I'll start with focusing on the financing for this project. And we do have a project with the wastewater treatment plant expansion and upgrade that's $152 million. We have a construction contract with Kiewit, and then we also have engineering, design, and project management to come up with a total of the $152 million project. And we have three major funding sources for this project. The largest is the State Revolving Loan Program, which this board has been working through that process of applying and accepting state revolving funds for many years now. We had received 3 loans which were approved in 2017, and those 3 loans total $100 million. And we are right now in the process of using that third loan of the $100 million. And we anticipate that we will complete drawing down that $100 million within the next couple of months. We're getting pretty close to using the $100 million. We also have $20 million of a utility system cash that funds this project, which left us a difference of $32 million. And a couple of years ago, city staff applied for $32 million of additional state revolving fund loan funds. And we certainly there was no promise, but we went through the application process and we received a high priority to receive additional funding. However, as that process worked its way through, the state has advised us that they currently are going to, they're recommending approval of $10 million more of state revolving loan fund monies for this project. And we are certainly appreciative of any amount of state loan. It's been a great benefit to our ratepayers and customers of the water and sewer utility. The interest rate on that first $100 million was 1.55%, including fees, and that's a long-term loan. So it's been something that we're very grateful for. And certainly, while we may be somewhat disappointed that the state could not fulfill the entire $32 million, we are very appreciative that they are willing to extend us an additional $10 million. Now, the timing on that additional $10 million is going to take a little bit more time. They're giving us a projected approval at the end of this calendar year, the November-December timeframe, and they have several steps that will begin toward the end of July. So we've been through that process before, but we are advised that by the end of this calendar year, hopefully another $10 million will be available to us, which leaves a balance of $22 million for financing this project. And we have been advised by Michelle Hatcher from Water and Sewer Department that this project will be completed in about a year. It's been a long-term project, but we'll be done with that project in May and June of 2022. So we certainly need additional funding in the next few months to complete this project. We pay approximately $6 million a month in bills on the project, so there is a timing of the essence at this point. And once it became apparent to us that we were going to need to borrow from the public markets to complete the project, what we as staff did was look at the documents for a public offering and what could we do to make this the most attractive public offering to investors that we possibly could receive the lowest interest rate. And what we determined very quickly was that we wanted to ask the state to put the standing of the state revolving loans subordinate to this new bond issue. So that way, an investor who purchases this 2021 revenue bond, that investor will be paid first and the state will be paid second. Now, we as the city are going to pay all of it. We understand that we're obligated to repay the state and we're going to repay our bondholders. But certainly, we will put ourselves in the best standing possible and make those bonds the most attractive by allowing the investors on the revenue bonds to stand first. And we went on June the 15th to the state of Tennessee's local development funding board, and they approved that request of ours. So this resolution that we actually, since this was posted, we now have a law department approved version of the resolution But there is language in there that will state that this will be standing ahead of the state revolving fund loans to make that the most attractive offering that we can make. So that is something that's different that you've not seen from us. The last time we had to issue bonds for Water and Sewer Department was back in 2017. And those bonds were actually, they stood on the same parity. They stood on the same level as the state. And now we're going to be able to rank those where the investors can stand first and then the state. And certainly, like I said, we're going to repay everyone, but that's going to help us in receiving the best interest rates we can. So I'm certainly happy to answer questions you may have about the financing, but this resolution does take into account that aspect of it.
Vice Mayor?
Christine, can you explain a little bit about the 20 million in utility cash? How does that work, and can you explain that a little bit more?
Right now,
Where does that come from?
It's actually from, primarily from impact fees that are designated for capital, and of course, all remaining revenues of the water and sewer utility after we pay operations and debt service remain in the water and sewer utility. But we also do have some of these other revenues that are designated for capital. And so that is how we have generated over time additional monies for this project. And that was intentional from many years ago to have a significant amount of cash funding for the project. And so to be able to utilize $20 million it's very significant.
And we have that $20 million
Yes, ma'am.
to use for that?
Yes.
Already, right. Thanks.
Alderman Peterson?
So how is this money then going to be paid off through water and sewer?
What we turned into the state for their consideration to allow us to have the 2021 bonds stand ahead of them.
I understand that.
What we showed was our existing rate plan, and that was what, certainly while we know there's some rates in the rate plan that have not been approved by the board, that was what they considered as an intention. So they viewed that as being sufficient. We are right now going through the process of revising that rate plan and updating it with the newest information. So, are those rates guaranteed? We'll have to see what the new study shows, but certainly that was sufficient to get us through the state seeing that they, truly that while they would agree to be second, that it's still a very strong pledge that they will be repaid with revenues of the system.
So we're thinking that in the next how many years we're going to be able to repay the whole 132 million?
Well, what we'll have are two different structures because of the state revolving loan program is
Right.
you take their structure, and that's a 30-year repayment plan.
Okay.
But there's no penalty to pay early, but certainly on the outset, you're set up with a 30-year payment plan. Well, when you do a public offering, we can do something different that's crafted more to us, and we'll actually be issuing 20-year debt
I saw that.
on the public offering, the 22. And so while the interest rates are not necessarily as attractive, we're not going out as long either. And so that helps mitigate the differences between the two different types of loans.
But I'm still saying, though, that we're going to be paying off 132 million out of water and sewer.
Yes, ma'am.
In the next 30 years, then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's an obligation of the utility.
Because it's definitely only from water and sewer. I mean, the city cannot, the city that's not water and sewer can't help it out.
Can't
It's a-
use general fund money.
Exactly. Thank
That's
you.
correct. That is one of there's one aspect of the state revolving loan program that's a part of why they feel so secure that they will be repaid is that because it is a state program, if for some reason we did not repay it, they actually can go after our state shared revenues. That's a backstop for the state that they have on state loans. But of course, our intention is always to repay interest and principal from revenues of the utility. That would be a bad situation.
Well, and the people that are water and sewer customers are not identical to the people that are paying into the general fund.
That is correct. We certainly have some utility customers who are not residents within the city limits.
But vice versa. We have many people who are inside the city limits that are not in the city of Franklin water and sewer.
It's,
Well, they would be on the sewer, wouldn't they?
The
More than
sewer,
likely.
you're probably right. You're probably right, Sue.
but we are a combined utility for security purposes and for financial purpose. We are a water and sewer utility, but we certainly have more sewer customers than we do drinking water customers, just the way that the boundaries are drawn.
30 years and a 1.55 with all costs included is a really, really good rate, so. But that is, having been on that local development authority, they don't budge as far as their structure. I'm sure if we were able to dictate the structure, we might have changed it some. So, possibly. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is there any other business to come before the group tonight? If not, we'll see you at 7 o'clock. This may rank as one of the shortest work
That's
sessions
right.
we've ever had. So,
All right.
see you at 7.
Ed was welcome.